If you don't know, now you know.
When the sunshine, we shine together. Told you I'll be here forever. Said I'll always be your friend. Took an oath, I'ma stick it out to the end. Now that it's raining more than ever, know that we'll still.
I wanted to talk to you in the description because it's such a blessing. It's mean a lot to me that I go into the songwriters.
Yeah, might as well do your introduction. You kidding?
Man,
Oh my God. Man. You know what? I'm almost speechless at it. Since that, you know, when I got inducted, Jermaine did me, right? Before that, they wasn't really letting a lot of us. So when Jimmy Jam called me and said, the feeling you're gonna have when you sit in that room, that's never gonna leave. He said, it's nothing like any feeling you ever gonna have. And bro, I tell you, when I sat in that room, I still to this day, put me on a high. You don't put nothing like that in your life. So I'm so happy to be able to share that with you, do that for you, bro. And all the things you've done for me, you've done for each other. And how long we've been on this journey right here. It's my honor, my pleasure. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna light it up. You know, I feel my thing is gonna be perfectly great.
Tricky Stewart.
thank you for having me, bro.
Man, thank you. I am honored for you to take the call and say yes to a brother, because I know getting a yes from Tricky is not really something that happens a lot for people in the space that you work within. I first came into contact with you back in 1998 there at Red Zone. There was one gentleman that had brought me to there to work with Shakespeare. And during that season, I thought Red Zone, listen to me, was Shakespeare. And then I found out it was not Shakespeare, it was Tricky Stewart. Mark Stewart, Julie Stewart, of course, that's the team, that's the family. But I thought the wrong thing. Had you ever run into that where people just don't realize how powerful you are because you don't speak much?
You know, as far as people knowing what I do, it's never really been part of why I do what I do. You know, recognition is not something that I chase. It's not anything that I've thought about. I just thought about the work, you know, and what happens when I do the work. And so from that standpoint, it's never a situation. There's so many people in our team and in our ecosystem that come from our ecosystem that, you know, people think, you know, our Red Zone or whatever, but it's really just three of us. Red Zone is essentially, what I look at it is like a franchise, right? It's a place where it's a team, and the team has a coach, it has a general manager, and it has a head coach. And then every year or every couple of years, there's a roster. And we sign writers, we sign producers, we sign engineers. Those are like some of the tentacles we develop. Executives, young managers, whatever the thing is. But ultimately, we've just been committed to, I think, making great music because we love music and we love the camaraderie that comes from making it. And then when you have a high, I guess, expectation or a high level for what you want to happen with the music, there's results that come sometimes. You know, it's not about, the results don't come all the time, but the joy comes every day from creating, from seeing people's lives change, from information, from access. And so I really looked at Red Zone and still look at what we do, myself, Mark, and Judy, is essentially like a franchise. It's not about it's about the team. It's about you, setting you up so that you're ultimately your own thing. And one of the things I think we're proud of is that everybody in our situation that's come through our situation has their own name. It's not meant to be covered by anybody's thing, you know, by any other kind of shadow of any kind. the cost to be in Red Zone is immense, though, in a sense. The talent level is like
Very high.
it's very, very high. It's not like, you can't walk off the street and like, this is like, I'm looking at the most elite creators, the most elite people in the world, in the country, or wherever I'm at, and going, this
that
is
part.
the best of the best.
That's right.
And I can help someone that's going to make it with or without me.
Right.
If I look at you and you're not going to make it with me, that's not good enough. You have to be, it's two forces joining. Like, I've never joined a force with somebody that wasn't going to make it. So I'm just doing a part, it's not like
I love that.
I'm just helping connect the dots, but I can't connect the dots if it's not there.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions that I want to ask and kind of get it done in this interview, but I have to stop. You just was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. That is a big thing in the world, but also in the world of music making. What was it like internally for you? Not just hearing it, but what was it like for you once it came down that it's not a nomination anymore.
Mm.
You're inducted. When you heard that,
it's waves, but it's all of it matters. The nomination is huge. The finding out is a magical moment. Like, I'm not like an emotional person in certain ways. In other ways, I am kind of emotional, but not in the ways that do have to do with my work. But this one definitely, I felt a tug. I felt something different than I haven't felt before. And I feel different. I feel different every day. Like, I can tell you that. It's only been a little bit of time now, and I feel really, really happy. Like, really joyous.
And you should be.
Just, this
the
is
whole
just,
team.
Yeah, this is just something that just doesn't come off the book. This is something that is.
This is historical, as I said in the text. This is historical.
Yes.
This means when you're gone on to home to be with God,
Mm-hmm.
this is here. If 500 years pass, your name is there. They may not know your work, but they know that you was inducted in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. So that's why I understand history. Here's my question. I noticed that your family, from when I first met you, I'm so blown away how you all are able to work together, no matter if this day you're on my nerves or this day he said the wrong thing. How do you all work so well together?
Well, I think we worked well together because at the core of what the family structure business is, which is myself, Mark, and Judy, right? Like, this, when you're talking about Red Zone, that's the core of what that is. Mark and I are brothers. We grew up, we're best friends. We love sports, we love music. We have a lot in common, and so that's just like very natural from that standpoint. And so regardless of the situation, there's never any situation that we've encountered that is insurmountable of any kind. It doesn't mean that we don't have arguments. It just means that our tolerance for an argument is so, like, we can have an argument and call the other person back in 30 seconds and pretend like we just didn't hang up the phone. Like, like, it's just not.
You move on.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't.
Where did that come from? Parents or?
I mean, I don't know. We've always had that relationship. We've never. I mean, I started when I was 14 years old. Like, and Mark and Judy been with me since then. And so,
wow.
Like, we don't have. I don't know. I mean, Judy is Mark's wife, but she's been my sister-in-law longer than she hasn't been, right? Like, so I'm 52 years old. She's been in my life since I was 14, and so that kind of chemistry was just there, from that standpoint. And then you add my cousin Kook, Kook has always been just the type of person that we always work together. Even when I first started out, originally, he was part of the team, and then he went into doing more Christian music for a while. for about 10 years or so. And then I called him up. I said, hey, man, I need some help. Because after I did Britney Spears, you know, I thought I was going to be on top of the world, and I wasn't. And it was like I needed more help to make my records better, to get me some more efficient and all types of things. And so I called him. I said, hey, I know you're doing, you know, because he was doing major ministry work, you know, with the Promise Keepers and like traveling and all that kind of stuff. And I was like,
He was really involved.
yeah. And so it's kind of like, I need you to come back. And then there's the element of him joining the team and coming back. And then we, you know, he, myself, and Dream, you know, there's very much part of this song, how this induction, you know, Kook has cut the majority of these records with me side by side. Dream has obviously been there. And then my cousin, Jason Weaver,
Right.
you know, Jason is
the gifted talent.
yeah, he's, you know, actor, and, you know, what he does in his business is his business. But
He was like in the Michael Jackson. I mean, many things he's been in.
And, you know, so I produced his albums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But everybody kind of has their own niche. And then there's my brother Laney,
Right.
who's kind of like the person who started us in the record business. And Laney is the person that kind of put it all together, like signed us to our first initial deals.
Wow.
Myself, Kook, my cousin Sean, and a couple of other writers, but the family ones were myself, Sean Hall, and Kook Harrell. And so,
Sean Hall. Gotcha.
yeah. And so, you know, he produced all the
Yeah.
3LW records.
Yeah.
And, you know, we started out Tricky and Sep. And so that was my first production partner when I had production partners and stuff like that. And, you know, I think the work part of it just came naturally from an overall understanding of who we are. We just happen to really be really, really close. You know, like, I don't even think, to me, working with my family is not a factor in the question, because I just feel like I work with the best people in the world. I feel like I know that I work with the best managers in the world that manage my career, because I've seen everybody else situations. You know what I'm saying? And I know what I've gotten. I know what our clients have gotten.
Mm-hmm.
I know how their futures are set up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know that nobody was getting it, like, had the protection that we had. We've stayed insular. We've not been damaged by music industry horror stories in any sort of way. And I do realize that one of the things that you have to get old enough to know is sometimes you just inherit things that you don't know. And so me being so young, it took me I was doing a project that wasn't music related, and Mark and Judy weren't involved, to know what it's like to be unprotected, right? And so, like, I didn't really realize the true advantage that I really have in my career is the protection of having people that really have your back, whose word you don't have to question, whose motives you don't have to question, any of those things. They just became, I didn't really understand the magnitude of that until I had some choice conversations with somebody that I was kind of on the outs with at one point. And she kind of looked at me and she's like, you just don't understand. She's like, because I'm in this industry alone. And that person that she was talking about is in this industry and is alone. And that person is alone. She's like, every time you walk into a room, you walk in with a whole force, you know. And then I had to start realizing that one of the main reasons why I think my career has lasted, why my mind is fresh, why my energy, why my spirit is fresh, is because when you walk into a room and you always know who you're coming out with, I'm not walking into a room to figure out who's in the room.
Right.
Like, who's in the room? Who in this room can help me?
Right.
The people that can help me is the same people that's leaving with me.
Right.
And so
that came with you and that left.
Yeah. And so I've just never known what it's like to have to look at opportunity the way that other people look at opportunity.
Some time back, I was working with someone, I won't say the name, and we was artist developing one of your acts, Sam Salter, out in LA, and we got there late. We was working on other stuff. And when we got to you, this young guy that was much younger than us was like, nah, man, y'all was supposed to be here. Like, y'all are late. I hear that you're doing this over there with them, but I paid you and I'm not getting what I paid you for.
Who said that? Me?
You said that.
I was
You
like, that
said that.
sounds like me.
You said that. And
So I was what, like 19?
I don't remember. I know it was 1999. And at that point, I was like, you gotta respect it. I mean, you're younger than most. You gotta respect this guy because he's not saying stop what you're doing. He's saying, no, what we paid you for, you're not here for what we paid you for. I want you to do what you're doing over there, but that I can't come short because of your situation.
Yeah.
I knew you was different then because we're all playing at the same high level. So there's no reason to say Tricky got an ego. It's no reason to say that we're right.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is we was late. Has that always been with you?
Yeah.
Where do you get it from?
I mean, I've been in business for a very long time. I've been doing this for since I was a very young person. My life is not in theory. The bills are real. The accountability is real. The deliveries have been real. Nobody ever looked at me and said, oh, you're 16 years old, so I expect less. Like, no, when I got to LA and when I'm doing Tamia's album, the first co-producer I'm working with is Quincy Jones. Like, there's no...
And that's big.
Yeah, that's just
top of
that's
the food
just
chain.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like my mentors, who I'm patterning myself after, LA Babyface, Jam Lewis. Like, I'm just checking boxes of things going. Accountability and delivering is just like, it doesn't matter who you are. Rodney Jerkins had the same job to do for Michael Jackson at the age that he was, and for Mary J. Blige. Nobody cared that he was 15. It was his job to do the biggest record in the world on the biggest artist at the time. And so from that standpoint, like my love, like, I don't know how much you know about this, but my love of sports is
Yeah, I do know it.
Yeah,
that's why it's called Red Zone. Everything has a playbook.
Yeah. And so with that being said, I was a quarterback, right?
Didn't know that part.
So the quarterback has to command the huddle. Doesn't matter who's in the huddle. Doesn't matter who had 5 touchdowns. He might have 5 touchdowns, but if we're still if the game is tied and we lose the game, you did all that for nothing.
I love
You know
that.
what I mean? And so the accountability of sports related to music is just a through line between what we do at Red Zone. It's like the emotional part. Like, we're not into the emotional part. Like, the sports part is when somebody gets something wrong, you confront it. Like, it doesn't matter what the situation is. It's like, this is what needed to happen.
Quality control.
And this ain't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that standpoint, it's easy for me to have what I think people would consider to be tough conversations or say things, not in a disrespectful way, but in a way to know, hey, listen, if you plan on winning here, part of winning is going to be how much time we have dedicated. And so once you cut into that time, then I just look at it in a very simple mathematical way. You just cut down on my man's reps. Like, it's like if you're a personal trainer and you come into the training session 20 minutes late, but I still got the same amount of time, but we didn't train as hard. And so that's just common sense. And I guess at a very young age, I understood that concept just because the pressure that I was under with having Sam Salter and moving to Atlanta and the nature of the deal that I signed and what the monthly balloon payments and all that was.
You had some dealing with LaFace Records as well, right?
Yeah, that's how I got to Atlanta. I signed a deal to join LaFace Records, like whatever year that was. I can't even remember, but Dallas, Jermaine, Organized Noise, and Red Zone. Right. That was it. The only difference between me and them is that they were, at the time when we started, we were doing Sam Salter. We were doing good. Like, we were doing well, but Usher, TLC, and
so on and so forth.
And Outkast were changing the world.
Right.
And so there was, I was the little stepchild, I was a late bloomer, you know what I mean? And so in the hit making class of really making Atlanta global music, you know what I'm saying? Like, where the music is traveling not through Atlanta, but through the entire world and through the universe. And that was what LaFace was built off of. That was the criteria. It wasn't just writing something good. It was write something that changed things. And so,
You know, when I first started coming around and everything, I found out, because I was hitting all of those camps that you just mentioned. But when I went to Red Zone, I knew something was different. And now what you're doing now, I mean, literally, I am not surprised. Of all of even the come ups nowadays, I'm like, Tricky's team, you all are so professional. It just, when I say professional, the other word to that is respect. Because it's not being professional, it's respecting, right? Having this respect and having these different producers and songwriters and everything, is that a quality you look for, or is it just the talent that they have that you look for?
Oh, it's more than the talent. You know, I see talent. I see a lot of talent, but it's mindset, really. You're looking for a mentality. You know, you have to find the talent mixed with the mentality. You know, it's talent is everywhere. You know, we've all been to church.
Right,
You know,
right.
and
There's a
some
lot of singers.
there's way better singers
Right,
in the
that
church
part.
than there are
Right, that's
in
very
in
true.
secular music. So it's not just that. It's about the mindset of what someone wants to accomplish. Why are you doing this? You know what I mean? Because, you know, if you think historically of R&B, R&B comes from church, right? It was
Right.
always the kid that was
Right.
like a little left of center or whatever.
Right.
And so that kid moves over, they have this talent, but they have this calling, but they want to be famous. So now you got three of those things adding up. They got a calling, they got God, and they got this.
Mm-hmm.
And they want that, right? And so now they're going to do what it takes to get that. Now it's different because certain people just want to sing. And for the people who just wanted to sing, they should sing at church if they're capable. But the internet has made it so that, and Pro Tools has made it so that people can sing for themselves. And you have to guard from that because they're not at church anymore. They're on the internet. But that don't mean they have the mindset to do what those artists, that the JoJo and KC's and, you know, the Ushers and all those artists that we love, you know, that transition from
Dream and all of them.
that transition from the church into secular music or into mainstream music. And so I have to really evaluate the mindset because there's so many beautiful voices out there. But certain people, that doesn't mean that they want to post about their song 30 times.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they want to. That doesn't mean that they want to, you know, learn how to swim and sing at the same time. That doesn't mean that they want to have a schedule that is so rigorous that is, you know, they don't know what city they're in. Those are the types of, you got, some people have to embrace that, and there are certain people that are like that, that have that, you know, where it's like we're dealing with this storm here, right? And there's a certain type of people that could be at home for a week, and there's certain people that's pulling their eyebrows out because they want to be on the go. They want to be moving. You know what I mean? They want to, like yesterday, being locked in the house, so many people that create
Right,
just like,
right.
I just can't. I
Right.
literally just can't take this at all. And it's like, and that's on a Sunday,
Right.
you know, that's on their day off.
Right.
So they should have been home, but they still,
Right.
you know what I mean? And so you can't do anything about that want to level and that mindset. You have to really evaluate that more so than even the voice, I think.
You know, another thing that really makes me, when I see it, because I watch your social media, Instagram in particular, you're married and with kids,
Mhm.
and you're focused. How long you been married?
It's been 18 years. We just celebrated 18 years, December 28th.
18 years in a business where, and I have to say it, women are everywhere.
Mm.
But you don't, you're focused with your kids and your wife. Where did this part come from?
That's developed. I think I have to go back in that, you know, just back in my mind, because I'm very deep into what I'm into. Like, and so it's like, you know, I don't know that I developed that in the sense that, and I don't want this. Let me think about this before I say it.
I'll tell you this, right? The reason why I married my wife, who is in the business as well with me, we've been married 23 years. I had said to God, I'm going into this business, and I know what I can get at. But please, Lord, help me with someone that is eye candy for me and that could walk with me in life with what I'm doing. And please let her do the same kind of things that I do. That's what it was for me. So when I see the different things out there, I'm focused because I don't really care about it. It's just not something I don't care.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I have to go back because it doesn't register to me anymore. Like I don't even really see other. I don't see other women. I don't like. It's just there's.
It's not even.
It's
focused.
It's not a thing, right? And so it's like I'm trying to go back to how I got there to answer your question, and I think it was just, society just ain't doing its best work either, and so once I put in some real parameters about, what I was kind of going to entertain, what I was really looking for to be attracted to, it got very, very small of what I would look to be entertained by. And so ultimately I think that led me to my wife because I was mentally free and had just got to a point where I was like, I'm cool. Like I ain't dating, I'm not doing nothing. Like I'm cool. I'm just waiting. And then I decided like the most important thing is I was like started reading during that time, and then I just realized that, there was a point where you was asking somebody to be something that you weren't. And so then I realized I had to become what I was looking for. And once I became the person I was looking for, then she showed up right away. But I had to become the person that I wanted to have in my life. Like I wanted to have a person that wasn't jealous. I wanted to have a person that was well read. I wanted to have a person who was genuine. I wanted to have a person that knew how to have a good time, that wanted to have a good time, that didn't take life too serious, that wasn't uncomfortable with the lifestyle that I've chosen as my life. I've been doing it for so long, so I can't afford to have anybody pulling any energy from who it is and what I'm going to be doing. And so that I needed a person that was trusting. That meant I needed probably somebody who probably had a positive relationship with their father, somebody, and so it was a lot of different things, and that all just showed up because I think of what I won't say that I had it bad or in any sort of way, because I was never the person that was there. But at the same time, I don't know that I had a value for what a woman could bring to my life in a life that I was creating that was so one-sided, just on the music side. And so once I got to the point where I realized, like, whatever is not going right, probably there's some responsibility that I have to do with the point of attraction and what I'm looking to. And so obviously in this business, you're around pretty people all the time, but I just started to realize that, there's a lot of pretty people, just like talent. And there's a lot of people that are just pretty, but I wasn't looking for somebody or people that were just pretty. And then I put in all the other criterias. And then it was like, of what really mattered, like, what my value system was, all those different types of things. And everybody went away. And then you're just there by yourself. And then you can really, now you know what you want. And it's like, they can walk right in, but there's no obstruction of any kind, because you don't even see that anymore. And it just got to a point, like I always joke with people, it's like, I can walk through Lenox Mall and nobody's going to be attracted to me because I'm not attracted. I'm not even sending off a signal. My attraction signal,
I know what you mean,
is completely off.
Right.
And so it's like, and then obviously I was just been extremely blessed, but that's with the perfect person. Like my wife is amazing. And so
And you know, I know you. Sometimes we don't like talking about our kids, but our kids are who we really are, right? That's if they turn out good, that's who we really are. If we were not there for them as dads, that's to me, that's our fault. Meaning, you have to be there with them. That's a really important point that I want to say to you is, man, what your schedule can fill up like that, and it's filled up. But I see through social media that you're there for your children.
I am. I'm there. Listen, I'm there the way that I can be there, but it takes the type of woman to create an environment that allows you to be you. Like in my household, my wife has built an environment that is based around creativity, and my creativity being at the center of the thing that we protect, whether that's through conversation, idle conversation, time, whatever the situation is. It's like the way my kids are homeschooled, so the way that they learn things when they were little is like, oh, dad's going to Paris to work with Rihanna. What is Paris, France? This is where he's going. This is when he's coming back. They study and learn the history of Paris. So why would I be going there to do that?
Wow,
And
that's
so
great.
it's like it's a very communicative way that her and her mom, who we affectionately call Grammy, kind of have worked to create this environment of creativity in the house. My kids are really creative, not musically, but whether it's through art and painting or drawing or writing, particularly reading and education. One of my eldest daughter, Ella, is like really fascinated by learning. So it's like, you know, when she was little, she's doing 500 or 600 books in 8 months. You know what I mean? Like real books, like not,
Wow.
and so she's,
Brilliant.
she's doing very, very well. She's going to Stanford in high school. And so it's a lot with that.
Wow.
Mom is just like really raising the hell out of them, but it really takes the idea that ultimately somebody is not creating an environment that is, oh, he's doing that, or you don't have any context. Like when I walk out the door, we walk out the door. You know what I mean? It's like, if I show up, if I pop in to something, yeah, I'm gonna pop in, but I gotta pop back out too.
Amen.
And so it's
Amen.
like, yes, I was at the thing, but did I go to the dinner? I wasn't able to go to the dinner because I left the session to do it. But your partner has to be there, in that thing where there's a connectivity and the why behind what we do. And so she does a really great job
Thank
at
you.
giving contextualizing what's going on, what's happening, in the why someone like me would be so obsessed with a thing.
Um, my question to you is, what made you start Sessions ATL? And from what you told me, you want to do not just Atlanta, but other places. What made you want to do this?
I think one of the ancillary things that came from Red Zone, right, was just the camaraderie, the team building, all the songs and the records and the accolades. Those come, and those are the shiny moments that we talk about, and that's why people may want to speak to me or whatever the situation is. But what I learned about sessions is this: you don't always get what you want in a session, but I have found that people were better for being in them. And so, what a sessions actually represents to me, outside of the creativity, is the secondary side of confidence building, finding your voice, hearing alternate perspectives, writing songs through other people's eyes, and overall understanding. And so the idea of sessions was to give people a place to create, to connect, to get together, to whether we get hits or not. everybody doesn't get them, but I was starting to get so many success stories over the years of people who didn't necessarily become the biggest songwriter or the biggest artist or name that we would discuss, but they were business owners. They were entrepreneurs. They had become highly successful people. And so, there was a time that I thought, maybe there was a time when the basketball rim or the swimming pool and the YMCA or
Right.
whatever you call it, the rec center, was the place for people to be. But in a digital age, uh, people really like music. They're attracted to music, and I wanted a safe place where, particularly in Atlanta, as me being more of a straight up songwriter, right? Like I'm a R&B pop songwriter. I wanted a place, particularly where females felt comfortable coming. Most of my clients are female. Whether it was Mariah, Rihanna, Beyonce, whoever it is. It's like I needed a place, and it's the reason I've always had my own studio, because I can't afford to have any outside influence when I'm trying to put on, the right thing for an artist that's coming here to Atlanta. And so that the team building, the community aspect of just why sessions are important, and the reason that I felt like I could do it globally in different cities is, one, because it's a business that I know inside and out. That's the first thing. I have expertise in it, and B, I think it's viable. I think it's
It
needed,
is. It
and I
is.
think people need to understand that when you walk into a studio, yes, you can make music in your home, but you're making the best music of where you are, right? Like with the best music that you can make. But when you walk into certain rooms, now you got to live up to the expectation of what has happened before you. You don't have no excuse if you walk into Westlake and Quincy Jones did
Right.
this and there. You don't have any excuse if you walk into to Triangle Sound and Future did all his records in there. What is and so from that standpoint, a little bit of the why is just to keep that conversation going, allow people to find their voice in a safe environment, and allow for young people to come in and tap into creativity and connect with other creatives.
I equate it to Disney World. What I mean by that when you go into Disney, they already have points that they're going to make you touch. But the experience when you touch those points, it opens your eyes to a whole world that you didn't know anything about.
Mm.
And what you just described is the concept of good life. It's not just to come out with a record, it's to meet another guy that had a record that did well or a song that did well, but now he's trying to get another song to do better. You're finding out that some person, like you said earlier, they only have themselves. They don't only have a team. So they meet you while you're walking through. You're not in any of the recording sessions, but they see you and say, no, you need a team. Let me tell you why. That is the same way I see Disney. And in fact, Disney is not really about the rides. It's about family connecting and staying connected to each other.
Mhm.
That's what Disney is.
Mhm.
Because they make you hit those points.
Yep.
They make you hit those points without you knowing you're hitting those points. So yeah, man, I had to ask you that question about sessions because I think deeper than most people in that when I went inside sessions, I was floored.
Thank you.
It's very professional, very professional. And I use that word a lot because that's the word that most people, it's very inviting.
Mm.
The,
One of the main things that we wanted to do as well is our motto is creative people servicing creative people.
love it.
So meaning there might be people there. If you encountered someone, right? They may not be a songwriter for our team yet. They may not be a guitarist for our team yet. But anyone that you've encountered that's there working does something, they do something in music. They might be an artist. They're not going to tell you an artist because they're not cross pollinating within the space. But at the same time, the idea was to give a platform for people who would have to otherwise go work in an environment that's not creative, where they don't feel validated and go, hey, instead of working at a restaurant,
Mhm.
come work with us. You know,
Right.
come be here, because the idea is it takes one to know one. So then if you understand creativity and you're able to foster it, then you're able to overhear, you're able to walk in, hear great songwriters like Dream, T-Ron, Justin Tranter, hear things that you're like, oh, I was writing a song and I didn't, while I was in there taking care of them, I didn't even know they was doing it in that order. So maybe, maybe I should start with the hook first. Just, it could be something just as small that you
Well,
didn't know.
that's what I'm saying.
You didn't
is
know that these people
wow.
do this.
You serve food,
Yeah, coffee, drinks, cigars.
You have all of that. You
Yeah.
you have wait staff. They will do. You don't have to go anywhere.
That's the idea.
And I noticed it. And I've been in a lot of studios, not just Atlanta. I'm from Boston. I grew up around New Kids, New Edition, all of that. So I get it. I totally get it and respect it. And I think it's a place for it. And that's why I had to talk to you about Sessions ATL.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we run a hotel without the rooms.
Nice.
Think of it like that.
That's-
I love
that's
working.
it. Yep,
I
that
love
part.
working in. I love working in studios that were in hotels, because I just love that proximity of being able to go to my room and to have everything taken care of. And so when I think about this global idea that I have, it's really about taking that Sessions feeling and bringing it to other cities. And it could even some of the early offers that we've had are even for it to be in hotels, so that ultimately you come to a Sessions floor within a hotel, if you will, and that thing has that Sessions vibe. And that would be the upper, the people that are used to catering to the most, specific people in the world. Like, my guests are specific, the artists that I've worked with, so we go from L.A. Reid to Katy Perry to Justin Bieber and everything in between. And so you have to know how to
Service that.
yeah. And so that's what we specialize in at Sessions.
Well, if you don't know, now you know.